I am Deaconess Dr. Jennie Asher. I am Director of Deaconess Studies at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, and we are coming to you from the 2026 Synodical Convention in Phoenix, Arizona.
This has been a great time and place to catch up with other deaconesses. I'm Deaconess Rosie Adle. I am with Concordia Theological Seminary, where I'm the Associate Director of Deaconess Formation. And have we not had a great time here seeing so many deaconess sisters and friends?
Yes.
Starting yesterday with that opportunity to worship together, which was great.
It was great. On a Sunday morning, we got to sit together and worship.
We did. We both
My husband's going to be jealous.
Yes, absolutely. Such a rare opportunity. So, and beyond that, we've had time with other deaconess sisters and friends here at the convention. Had a wonderful group photo. Took the group photo twice to be sure that you were in it.
Because
so
I got there late.
Well worth it.
Yeah. You know, when I first started as a deaconess, there was only the Concordia Chicago program. I'm that old.
What year was that? Tell us what year it was, if you're willing.
I started as a graduate student in 1990.
Great.
So I graduated in 93.
Okay.
So, and I went undergraduate school for teaching because I was one of those people that did not know what a deaconess was. So I went to, I was having lunch with my pastor one day and talking about how frustrated I was in my public school teaching job. And he said, well, you know, you're doing the youth work, you're doing the interpreting for the deaf, you're doing, and he listed all these things. Maybe sometime you'll want to do this as a profession. And I said, well, I don't know if I really want to be a Lutheran school teacher. And he said, well, how about being a deaconess? And you know what I said.
What did you say? You have to tell us. What did you say? I
said, what's a deaconess,
exactly.
right? Isn't that what everybody says?
That's what everybody says.
Yes.
That is exactly what everybody says.
Did you say that when you first heard?
Well, I found out about deaconesses by meeting them and by knowing them. And so they filled in those gaps for me just in the context of getting to know deaconesses. But since then, you are right. That is a very common question to hear. What is a deaconess?
And I hear that from incoming students all the time.
Yes.
That they just say,
Still true.
I didn't know about this until I was whatever age.
Exactly.
We just had one graduate who was 77 years old.
Wow.
And she finally started, you know, she said, well, I'm retired and I'm not done serving yet.
Exactly.
And so she wanted to learn how to serve in a different way. And it was great.
How did it go for her going through the program at that stage in life? I'd love to hear about that.
Well, she went through it as a distance student, so she was still involved in her congregation and all of that, and just still serving, and had such a supportive congregation and just loved it.
Great.
It's a great way to just study theology.
Yes.
You know, that's what I did.
Yes.
I took a leave of absence from my teaching job, actually, to start with, and just said, I've always wanted to study theology. And I just wanted to really dive into God's Word and learn how to be a better Sunday school teacher or whatever it would be. And God just kept on kind of leading me in different ways. So
that's wonderful. And then you've kind of come full circle in that you're a deaconess who is also an educator.
Right.
So the education background, you really see how that makes sense in the continuity of how you serve the Lord.
Yes.
So now you...
And I see that all the time in students where God uses all these different experiences we've had and brings us to the works that He has planned for us, as Ephesians 2:10 says. One of my favorite verses.
Prepared beforehand.
Yep.
Yes, and to be looking forward to those opportunities to see what God has prepared for us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a Spanish major, and so a lot of people ask me, what are you going to do with your Spanish major? And I said I wasn't sure, but I would love to serve the Lord. One of the things that I learned during my years as a Spanish language student was that when pyramids are built, they're not hollow on the inside because they build upon themselves. And so in so many ways, the foundation and whatever was built previous to what we see on the outside is giving shape and support to what we do see now.
Yes.
So I thought about that in life and how whatever we've been through, there's nothing hollow on the inside, that God is using all of us to give shape to the service that we end up showing now on the outside, wherever we've gone. So I went from being a Spanish student to being a deaconess student at my big sister's encouragement. And so that was a really good word of encouragement, and it has gone great for me.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, deaconesses are sisters to others. So the fact that my journey to becoming a deaconess started with encouragement from the sister in my family, and now as a deaconess caring for others, as a sister in the faith, my aim and prayer is to encourage them in whatever stage they're in life, however God is growing them and giving shape to their service.
And you served as a missionary too, didn't you?
Yes, my deaconess internship was in Venezuela, which was a wonderful time, and that was actually where I started being engaged in preparing women for service as deaconesses. Was there in Venezuela, traveling throughout the National Lutheran Church, building up women in the faith and preparing them to serve in their congregations, which I've continued now with my role with the seminary.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah, and I've seen too how my, my previous calls have all kind of led up to the current one, where I started at, we often say that deaconesses serve as congregations or institutions or agencies and missions.
Right.
And I've been in all three.
Oh, so, how wonderful. So you can speak to
now,
any of them.
I can teach people about all of those and the different challenges in each
that is
one.
Great.
And because I started out as kind of missionary to the deaf in New England. And also then working for a district or an agency or whatever you want to call it. So I got that experience of working under a board and all that kind of stuff. And then I was a parish deaconess, and then director of the undergraduate program, and now and then my husband and I went to missions. So
yes, exactly.
We were overseas too.
How many years were you there?
We were in one country for a year, and then we got evacuated
We're glad
because of political situation.
Yes.
And then we were in Germany for about 5 years. So it was like 6 years altogether, and
it's great.
And that was a great experience to be able to, lead you into the current place where you are. So
absolutely. What are some of the obstacles that you encounter when you're talking with a new student who has some concerns or reservations? What do you hear these days, and how do you address them with those new students?
I think probably the most common one is just uncertainty.
Sure.
And it's that stepping out and just trusting that God has it all figured out.
Yeah.
And I hear that from students all throughout. It's at the end of their first year, we're starting to talk about internships, and it's like, where will I go? What will happen? And all that kind of stuff. And then when it's placement time, and there's so much anxiety and stress about all of that. But to just know that, we don't know yet, but God does.
Right.
God's got it all figured out for you.
Right.
And how cool is that?
Yes, very cool. Absolutely. Good word of comfort.
He just uses us where he wants. So taking that step is I won't diminish how challenging that was.
Right.
I remember when I finished my year's leave of absence, and I had to decide, am I going to finish with this program, or am I going to go back to teaching? I was a grad assistant at Concordia, Chicago, and I sat at my computer in my office and I cried because I was going to leave my career, my teaching, and
Goodbyes
go on.
Are hard.
Yeah,
Goodbyes
it is.
Are always hard.
It is, but that whole step of just walking out in faith and trusting that God's got this.
And the more steps you've taken in faith, the more you see that pattern of his faithfulness. Right. And so then the next time there's one of uncertainty, you already trust what's backing it, that the Lord has his plans for you, and that you don't take that next step alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you do have the sacrifices and stuff, but look at how much you gained. I gained a new sister.
Yes, exactly.
I would have never known you otherwise.
That is true, and we have so many.
Yes.
There are so many new sisters now. It's
there
fun
are.
to walk around a place like this and not just see the people we know, but also see in the deaconess uniform, such as you're wearing today, the ones I hadn't previously met.
Right.
So there's so much growth within Deaconess Formation right now. The fact that we could walk around and not know every deaconess is a
great.
really neat thing we can say now that we couldn't say 20 years ago. I became a deaconess 20 years ago, and I pretty well knew all the deaconesses, and now I don't, because God is continuing to grow the number and grow those sisters in faith. Very cool.
Yeah. So what do you wish somebody would have told you 20 years ago when you were getting into this?
Oh, I had so many wise people telling me all the right things.
That's true.
No, but I think that's a good point you raised about when we aren't sure what's happening next, there is that tendency to reach for worry instead of trust. And so to continue being, for other people, the one who remind them that the Lord is with them always, even in unknowns and uncertainties. So I think even though I had many of those voices, I could always use one more.
Yeah.
And then I consider how important it is that I share that with others for the same reason.
Yeah. And I think also being in the Word is crucial.
Yes.
I had a high school student recently that asked me, well, what can I do now to prepare to be a deaconess? And I just said, go to worship.
Yes, exactly. Receive God's gifts. They'll fill you up.
Yeah, grow in your own faith.
Absolutely.
And in your own knowledge. And then when you have those doubts and stuff too, God's going to take care of it through His Word. So that's the grounding. I mean, that's what we all come in here with.
Exactly.
And you just got to keep building on. I love your analogy of the pyramid.
Yeah, I really
build on
love
that
too.
foundation.
I've shared it with so many deaconess students. I was like, whatever's there, it's giving shape and support, and it's for your good. It's so that you can be sturdier for it, and so that's always there to remind us that nothing. The other thing I sometimes hear from students is, well, I spent a lot of years doing that, so that wasn't very helpful toward being a deaconess, and I insist that it was. I say God was at work in your life all throughout your life, and that through all of those things, He was growing you to be the person you are now as you prepare to be a deaconess.
Absolutely.
So there's so much for anyone to reflect on with thankfulness and gratitude to God's faithfulness.
Yeah. So how about the next Deaconess Conference? We'll suggest that
Next
we go.
Deaconess
Well, let's go
Conference.
to Egypt and we'll look at the pyramids.
Oh, no, I like the ones in Mexico.
Oh, Mexico.
You misunderstood.
Okay.
I'm
we'll
sure
go
they're
to Mexico
good anywhere.
And we'll look at the pyramids
those are
and
my
we'll
favorite.
reflect on how God keeps building us.
I would love that, but the most likely location to result in me being able to be there would be Nebraska. So go Big Red for the next Concordia Deaconess Conference. That's my vote.
Okay.
Right.
You build a pyramid in your backyard and we'll be there.
There we go. It'll be right there for inspiration. Thank you for the time together. You're my great sister and friend.
I love you.
You too.